Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Not Till Now, a podcast about courage. If you've been following along in this first season, I've been chatting with performers and collaborators from the debut of the Not Till Now show. But today, I'm excited to introduce you to an attendee from that night, Erin Hunt. Erin and I met when she attended the second Moms on the Mic on a total whim, when one of the speakers offered her a ticket the day of the event. On another whim, she signed up for open mic. And when I drew her name from the bowl, she was in the bathroom. When she made it to the stage, luckily she was just going pee, she beautifully sobbed her way through an excerpt from her best-selling memoir, Lovely Disaster, and absolutely blew everyone away. Erin is a former social worker and correctional officer, recovering people pleaser, wife, mom of 2 enormous sons, and one of the most refreshingly honest people I know. In fact, after listening to a recent interview she did, Erin got me thinking about writing my own memoir, which we'll talk more about in hopes that even more people will be inspired. We'll also talk about what's been sparking for her since attending Not Till Now, which we haven't actually talked about until now. So, Erin, I'm so pumped you're here.
Ditto. Hi.
Hi.
I've been looking forward to this so much.
Me too. Me too.
Yay.
All right, so let's just dig right in and go back to Moms on the Mic a few years ago. What do you remember most about that night?
What a crazy, amazing kismet of a night is the best way I can put it. It was a complete last-minute decision to go. I was there to support a dear friend, Lisa White, who was making her speaking debut. And in the weird world of writing, I met her through writing my book. But yeah, I showed up having absolutely zero idea what I was walking into. And that was probably the best thing ever, because I walked in with zero expectations and walked into a room that clearly, in hindsight, you and the rest of the women there had very much curated this community of women that were from every walk of life, whether they were professionals or, comedians or just every sort of vantage point of being a woman, basically.
Yeah.
In my own personal experience, that sort of situation would have put me deep into my turtle shell. Like, it was not a comfortable place for me normally. But I swear I walked in there and like, this is awesome. This is just awesome. And this was totally my jam.
Yeah.
And at that point, after I walked in, I thought, there's a fishbowl or whatever it was of, throw your name in the bowl if you want to speak. And I walked in there knowing that my thing was that I was a published author. So I thought, oh, what the heck? I've got my book here. I'll throw my name in the pot, see what happens. And then sat back and listened to everybody and went through the whole process of meeting a whole table full of people, a room full of people I had never met before. And then, like you mentioned, not expecting to actually be speaking to this entire room of people I had never met before.
Yeah.
But it was so amazing. It's just, I walked out of that whole experience like, wow, I'm not this weird person. I'm a person who has this community of people you never knew you had. And so, and the connections that I made, especially with you and with other women there, that has continued on. I can't speak more highly of it. It was magical.
Oh, yeah. It was such a cool night. And I'm so glad that you said yes to that ticket. And
yeah, me too.
And you said really inspiring things. Not only were you reading from your book, but then you also gave this encouraging pep talk to all the women there about writing a book. And if you have a story inside you, just write it. And even if it's just for you, just get it out and you'll be amazed at what happens on the other side of that. And it was just really cool.
I know it was an emotional thing because that was the very first time I read something out loud to an audience of what I had written.
Oh,
I
I
don't know
didn't
if you
know
did
that.
that. And I think that's why it just sparked so much, because not only did it force me back into that moment in time when I wrote it and was feeling all those things, but I'm looking at this audience of women who are just, transfixed on this blubbering mess that I was, but it was safe. It was normal to them. It was
Yeah.
okay. And that permission, I think, is what everybody needs, whether it's writing or not. It's just that feeling of you're not bananas to think you can do this, or you can
Yeah.
say this, or you can write this, or whatever it might be. And that was what I took away from that, was just this like overwhelming wave of support. And then also just really getting out what I had stored into this book that had never
Yes.
been spoken. So all of those things combined were so amazing.
So let's talk about your book. So
Okay.
Lovely Disaster,
Yes.
published January of 2023.
Actually, February,
Oh,
because I published it on my birthday.
no
It was
way.
it was my birthday present to myself, is what I decided.
Oh, what's your birthday?
February 8th.
Oh, I'm February 28th. Ooh,
Well, see,
interesting.
that's why also we're friends.
Totally. So, for those that do not know you yet, what is this book about?
Oh gosh.
I know.
So I have a high school sweetheart. I married him. We were doing great, and great and great and great until we weren't. And the way that that came about was a very traumatic experience and situation that completely blew my life apart. And I had kind of not a moment, many moments of saying, screw this, I'm out, I can't do this. But at that point, we had been together a very long time. We have 2 boys together. We have a very successful business together. And there were just things about our company and our business and all of these things that made it so, in my mind, impossible to do what I think I wrote about, which is like, in my mind, I wanted that, waiting to exhale moment where you throw everybody's stuff in a dumpster and you set it on fire and you move to some exotic island and you meet this other person or whatever. That's not real life,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I couldn't do that, even though I, at the moment, really, really wanted to. So I chose the latter to work through it. And it was by far the worst, but the best thing I ever did. It is not for everybody. I would not say that every marriage that goes through infidelity is going to go down that path.
Right.
And I'm not saying it's one's right and one's wrong. This was just the right thing for me. So I did all of that with my husband over several years, trying to get back on track. And what we basically decided was we are going to remarry without actually getting married. This is
Yeah.
our second marriage together, because the first marriage ended disastrously, in my opinion. But I wasn't ready to not be married to the same person yet. And so we just consciously, like, it was such a concrete decision that he and I both made, that we are going to do this together and it is going to be different. And if it can't be different, then we tried, and that's
Yeah.
fine. And then on top of that, I have a lot of life experiences that end up falling into this book, just crazy things that growing up. And since he and I basically grew up together, a lot of these are shared experiences, not all of them, but some that I would share with my sons. Mind you, at this point, they had, and when I say this now, I realize how silly it sounds. In my mind, I believed they had no idea what was going on.
Oh,
I think in reality, they had inklings, but it was never spoken about. until later. And then, so anyway, we were talking over the years while we were trying to mend our marriage and just bringing up all these old stories and memories and different things. And I would tell my kids about these crazy things that I did in my life. Pre-social media, there's no video evidence. But over time, they just started building these stories. And never forget, one morning I had, it was after a sleepover with one of my son's, some of his friends. We were sitting around, I was making him breakfast or whatever. And somehow a story came about, and one of his friends said, "There's no way that happened." And then the other one was like, "You should write these down. Like, these are stories you should write down." And then it was just like, and so I kind of put all that together. And then the last part of that was, I hate to be in this club with another good friend, but I was a very close friend who went through something similar with her husband at the same time. And so she and I were just, it sounds so kitschy, but like trauma bonded. And we would text each other, I'm going to either smother him in his sleep or we're going to make this work,
Yeah.
We both were on the same page. And so finally we got to the other side of it, and she made the same decision as I did. And this is kind of what I spoke about at Moms on the Mic, was we would have this regular meeting place for dinner and split this lovely bottle of Sancerre. It was always the same one because it just meant something to both of us. And we sat there and we had dinner and we split the bottle. And I don't know, somehow we both looked at each other and said, "Can you believe that we're here now?" Like, compared to when we thought we were either going to lose our minds and completely go bananas or be here, and we're here now. And then we thought, wow, what could we tell other women in this position? So the initial thought was, let's make a handbook, like a really funny, cuss-filled, real, how we speak to one another handbook. And we were gung-ho, and we left the restaurant and we're like, okay, here's our plan, and you write this and I'll write that. And we circled back like a week later, and I had gone through just mental writing diarrhea. It just was like, and she had written nothing. And she basically said, "It is crystal clear to me that this is your baby. This is all for you. Whatever you want me to do to support it, I'm there, but I can't measure to where you are now and what you need to do right now." And so it just fell on me, and then I kept going and going.
Yes. And you have talked about how at first your writing, it felt like something you were just trying out, right?
Sure.
But then somewhere along the way, it did start to feel like this necessary, pertinent thing. And at what point did that change?
Well, it was a combination of things. I think I had gotten so far into it, and I saw an end to it, if that makes sense. I didn't see this as an ongoing journal. I saw this as a piece. I thought, first off, who do I know that's written a book? And weirdly enough, through all of the rabbit holes of social media, there was somebody I was connected to through a different group back when I was this crazy fitness lady. And she had written her own book. Like, she kind of disappeared for a while and then came back and just, here I am, kind of thing. And I thought, wow. And I reached out to her and chatted a little bit, and she had just started her own publishing company, which blew my mind. But the biggest thing, and I think this is where like this whole, the whole Not Till Now and the Moms on the Mic and all of that really resonates with me, was this thought of, everybody thinks writing a book, nobody can do it.
Yeah.
But in my mind, I knew, why not me?
Yeah.
Why can't I? Who says I can't? I put my shoulders down and said, I'm going to do this. even if it's just for me,
Yep.
even if I just get from start to finish, for me, I'm going to do it. And then lo and behold, working through with the publisher that I worked with, come to find out it is like almost a unicorn to get from writing all the way through editing, publishing, and releasing. The percentage of people that start and then get to that end is small, but it's
Yeah.
not impossible. And you
Mm-hmm.
know this too. It's like, it's not a pipe dream. It's something that is tangible and can be done. And so I kept telling myself over and over again, even if I wrote one night for 30 minutes or one night for 3 hours, I'm going to do this just for me and see what happens. And then,
Yeah.
I got to the end.
I think there's something to that where your initial goal with this was to get it out and to write it for even if it's for yourself. Your initial goal wasn't necessarily like, I'm going to publish a book, and I think that maybe that was your secret sauce. And I think that is what helps people, is to just keep your head down, one step at a time, instead of like when you think about the whole big picture. Of course it's really intimidating, when you think about eating an elephant, like, no, you can't do that. But if you just take one little nibble at a time each day,
Right.
over time, and you look back and you're like, holy cow, I just ate this whole thing, because I was consistent and I just kept going with it. But speaking of keeping your head down, though, every time I think about you and your book, I see you in your room with all those Post-its and all the paper and everything, like you were in your cave. And I think you called yourself a mad scientist or a detective trying to solve a crime, because you had all the things laid out. And for me, every time that I've set out to write a book, I have to have a North Star. I think of the title before I even really start writing it, because I need to have a plan.
Yeah.
But I think most people, and I think the best way to do it is to just get it all out and write it and then decide what it's called. And I think that was true for you, right? You didn't actually have full clarity on what this whole thing was going to be packaged as until you really got it all out.
Yeah.
Is that?
Well, I think yeah, pretty much. I think the way it started, and God bless my publisher, she and I did a one-on-one and we mapped the book initially. No title or anything yet. We just are like chatting back and forth. She does the mapping, and then like the next day she's like, I'm going to send you, a PDF of what the map looks like. She's like, don't be scared. It, that's where that analogy also comes from, because it starts like with this circle of, me and whatever the situation was. And then it's just a Rorschach test. It's like all these different things. But that was exactly what I needed, because then I was like, okay, I can write about this part now. I can write about this part now. I can write about this part now. I don't have to start here, end here. My brain personally doesn't work that way. And that made it freeing. Like, it made it fun. It made it about the writing versus the process. And so I also, in my mind, because of my brain, I know I need a book that I can read a couple chapters, put it down, and not pick it back up and go, oh God, what happened? I can't remember what happened, and go back and back. I just wanted it to be little chapters of different parts that at the end wrap together, if that makes sense. And so that's why, yes, my girl cave, also my bedroom, my writing area, was off limits when I was writing completely. And at the end of it all, I printed everything out in possible chapters and just put like a little sticky note on each one and laid them out on my carpet. And then I imagined myself, there's that meme. I don't remember who's in it, but it's the guy who's like manic looking, and he's got, pictures and notes and strings and all these different things connecting, and he's like losing it like that. That was my brain at the end, because I'm like, this is here. I know it's here. I just have to figure out how all the pieces fit. And once that was done, I just sat back and I'm like, holy shit, I wrote a book.
How long did that all take you?
Okay, that's the craziest part. I think start to finish writing before I submitted it to the editor was 8.5 months.
Wow. Okay.
It wasn't the normal. It was clearly something I needed to do.
Yeah.
My therapist would agree that it was necessary.
Isn't that crazy when that happens, though? When I was putting together Mama Be Present, I think I
Yeah.
designed the thing in like a month. I just went nuts. And it was
Yeah.
just a supernatural wave that I was surfing. And I would love to get back on that someday, but I don't know if it'll ever come back. It's like, what was that? So when it has to
Right.
happen, it just happens. I love that.
Like I said before, it's like that I didn't do it to publish. I did
Right.
not. I did it because I started feeling more like myself again, less in this shell, less in like the worry and the all the ick, all the stuff that I was dealing with. Every time I would take apart these pieces of my life, which in my mind, the way I wanted to do it was, how did I get here?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a backstory to everyone, right? There's a backstory to whatever happens in your life. I needed to know, because this was so out of left field for me, how the fuck did I get here?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
couldn't figure it out. And so I had to dig deep and look at different aspects of my personality and my family and my upbringing and the way I looked at the world and the way I parented and the way I saw other parents and all the things. And when you really dig in there, you realize what an absolute impact all those different things have on how you see the world. But it's such a cool thing to do when you do it for yourself, because when you examine those things and you realize what's important, what isn't, just for you, it's so uplifting, and it makes you feel lighter and it makes you feel more real and honest. And I would do it again in a heartbeat. I really would. I wouldn't want that experience. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But that feeling of really going into and figuring out how you got here was so cool for me. So cool.
Yes, when we really look back and when we put things on paper and we put it all out there and see all the pieces come together. I've been going through a lot of that too, processing a lot of things that have happened in my life and
Yeah.
putting them all together and seeing some of these really hard times and thinking, oh my gosh, if that hadn't happened, then this other thing wouldn't have happened. And it's connected to this and to that. And it really does shine a light on who we are today and why. And I want to talk about, with this clarity, you also have done a lot of unlearning. And in your interview with Chelsea Hewsome, you were talking about how you said the shoulds will bury you. And so I want to know, what are some of the biggest ones that you've had to unlearn? And has that wisdom come to you in the process of reflecting on how you got to that point? Like, is that related or?
For sure.
Yeah.
For 100%. I'm not going to lie. I prided myself on being to the T in shape. Kids are great. Grades are great. My house is great. We have this great business. Our marriage is great. Like, everything's great, as it should be, right?
Yes.
I came from a family, that there were expectations, albeit they probably were my own, that I placed on myself, never like forced upon me. But I realized there were little moments when I let go of those, oh, you should do this and not that. Oh, you should have said this and not that. You could do that until you are 6 feet under, is the way I
Yep.
look at it. You could say, I should have not done this with my kids. I should not have lost my temper or missed this deadline, or I should put on a brave face every day. I should continue relationships that are clearly not doing me any service, just out of history or out of obligation. I should continue to kill my body thinking this is what's going to make me happy. I should, it's all of those things. And yeah, I think when you do that deep dive into yourself, I realized how deeply and deeply ingrained that was in me. And it kept me from being brutally honest, which now I think I really am. And I don't make any concessions for that. It's what I need. And it's what I also wanted to show in hindsight after publishing. I wanted to show my sons that not only could they write a book if they wanted to, they should not put up with any shit they don't have to. And they should stand up for who they are, whatever it might be, and not believe, oh, I shouldn't have done that. And
Yes.
it kind of rode this wave through my life. Like my house, it's lived in. Let's put it that way. It should be beautiful. It's big. It's gorgeous, whatever. It's a mess. And I'm okay with that now. It's, I brushed my teeth at 3:00 yesterday. Sorry. I should have done it in the morning, but I didn't. It's stuff like that, and I can't speak for men, but for women, I just feel that piece of this pressure of all of the shoulds, it encapsulates your life at some point to where it feels almost suffocating. And ironically, I think I was at the precipice of that when my marriage imploded. And I don't
Oh.
believe that is a coincidence. I don't. Granted, this is my part of it, obviously, but I took off the layers of like the expectations of being this perfect, whatever. And then I ended up writing a book, meeting incredible women, like not feeling lonely, not feeling so overwhelmed with expectations. And so I highly encourage women to do that. um,
Yes.
and I think the other part I definitely need to throw in here is that ironically, at the same time this was all happening, my best friend went through a terrible breast cancer situation, and it gave me a purpose outside of myself. And she had the fuck it all attitude because she had to.
Yeah.
And I absorbed it. And I have taken it with me as a gift. Like cancer, I hate to say it, her experience and mine as her caretaker was the biggest gift I could have ever been given, because it gave me such a different view on my life, on my marriage, on what I wanted to do moving forward, and not giving a shit about the shoulds anymore. Can't do it.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah. And even in how you wrote your book, you decided, you're like, I am going to write this book as me in my voice and not a polished version of myself. Had you started down that path and then decided, wait a minute, this doesn't sound like me? Or
It actually was a little of both. I started writing it as me, and then I shared it with a few friends, and they liked it, but I think they didn't, you know, not to discount them, but they're like, oh, okay, Erin. Writing. Good job, girl. They knew I was a mess anyway. So they're like, you got this,
yeah.
So then I thought, okay, well, maybe it just doesn't sound, professional enough or what have you. And so I actually submitted a different chapter to one of my friends, written more professionally. I know that I am lucky in this regard that writing comes easy to me. It's always, it does, whether it's, was in school or whatever. So I kind of switched gears and wrote it more matter of fact. And she texted me back immediately and she goes, who the hell is this? And I said, what do you mean? She's like, this bullshit sounds nothing like you. If you
Oh.
want people to think it's you, why aren't you the person who's writing it. It was basically like, you're writing a textbook. This is a memoir. It
Yeah,
has
yeah.
to sound like you, because nobody's going to buy it or believe it if you don't. And I
Hmm.
said, you couldn't have said it better. And so I just erased that whole part, went back to my original style, and never changed that.
Yes, I'm so glad you did because I can hear your voice as I read through all the chapters, and I love you do have incredible stories where I'm like, did that really happen? Like the kids, and so I'm so glad you did that, and let go of that right? That you should sound like a certain person, and so
Right.
that was really, really cool. And it does also seem like humor and heartbreak are the same for you. They're woven together. And so tell us more about that.
Well, self-deprecation is my gold star kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, because I think the levity helps. But, the heartbreak part, I could write about that all day long. And the problem for me is that is kind of a vacuum into a dark place that it's a hard thing to get out of. It doesn't mean that it's not valid and necessary to walk through it all and remember some of the really horrible things and the trauma and all of it. Um, but in my mind, the only way out of that dark place is to find something that you walked away from as a funnier, happier, better version of yourself. And so it doesn't come easy. Some of the things that happened when I was growing up and in high school and all of those experiences were hard. They were um, almost leveling me. And it took a lot of work to get to the other side of it. And I know, and I'm blessed, my sons, I like to think, well, it's a blessing and a curse now that they're older, but with a very dry, quick wit, because I think it's a good thing to have. It shows intelligence. It shows emotional intelligence, that you can handle yourself in a situation without going down into that dark place. And it's maybe a deflection, what have you. But for me, that's what's saved me. And it's also what's fostered relationships that are now so integral and so much a part of me, that it tracks those same people.
Yes.
And that's what I love.
Yeah. I really resonate with that. I really do.
Yeah.
If we didn't laugh, we'd all go insane. And, in those really intense moments, you've got to have people around that can find the humor and to be able to just exhale and because it can take you down.
Right.
So you mentioned your sons. I want to talk more about them. You
Totally.
have been you wrote a really beautiful thing recently because you've been part of the Not Till Now writing group, which has been so
Yeah.
fun. But you wrote about your sons entering their own seasons, and you just had one graduate from high school. So I want to know, just how are you feeling about everything? I mean, this just happened like a
Yeah.
Saturday, right? Graduation, like you are
Yeah.
fresh.
My youngest graduated. Yeah.
Oh,
It took a minute. I'm not gonna lie. I did get a little schmoopy about the whole
yeah, yeah.
thing, but the truth is, before I published my book, we, and I feel like this is such like the turning point in my relationship with my sons. We sat down, it was Thanksgiving, and it was just the four of us. I did the obligatory, made everybody say something they're grateful for, which, goes over so well with
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like, really, again, really. But we went around to everybody and said what you're grateful for. And, I got to my son who just graduated. And at that point, he would have been in sixth grade, seventh grade. Um, and right out of the gate, he goes, Mom and Dad, I'm so grateful that you guys are still married,
Oh,
because my friends, he had multiple friends' parents who had divorced over the last several, like the preceding years. And he's like, I'm so glad you guys are still married and that you're happy and all of these things. And I looked at my husband and he looked at me. And I'm like, there's not going to be a better time. It's just the four of us. We might as well just crack the egg open and explain what happened and what I'm doing in the book and everything. And we talked our way through it. Um, and it was weird because both of the sons weren't mad. They were confused a
yeah.
little, but they weren't mad. They just had questions and nothing was off limits. So we told them everything. Um, I don't know if every therapist in the world would agree with that method, but it worked for us. And I really believe ever since then, it's like this connection that I've had with my sons is that it's so organic and honest that even when they piss me off and they do the things that they do and they, you know, are basically normal teenage boys.
Yeah.
Um, there's still like the way back feels so much easier because I feel like we were so honest with them when things were the worst. And so now I'm watching them and, my oldest is in college and now my youngest is going away to college and, they're figuring stuff out, but nothing is off limits again. And watching them get into that moment where they're like figuring it out and, realize like you can do the big stuff, you can do the hard stuff if you really try and really think about it. Granted, when that whole frontal lobe is complete, this whole thing will be a whole lot easier. But it's interesting now because they just seem to be more connected to us, not just as like mom and dad, but just a touchstone kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, but that being said, and I think I wrote about it, it's like I would give, I think I said I'd give my left kidney just to have just a moment to be that weird mom and just like smell them,
Yes.
breathe in them, But that's okay. I feel like we did a good job with them and they're not, you know, we didn't raise male assholes. That was my main parenting goal. No male assholes in this house.
There you go. No, I mean, I've never met them, but I see the pictures and I hear about them and you've done a phenomenal job. They
Oh,
seem
you're so
like
sweet.
remarkable young men and I think it's so great what you did and I love that nothing is off limits and sharing your own stuff. And
Hmm.
I mean, that obviously built more trust than you even probably imagined it would. It just shows the importance of keeping the communication open with your
Yeah.
kids and your spouse, right? Like it's
It's not easy,
crazy. Yeah.
I do see the benefits even more now. Um, I like to call them many bonus sons that
Yeah.
are friends of both of them who have the door code to my house. I think at some point I'm probably going to have to change the door code because I don't know exactly how many people have it, but it's okay for now. Um, but having these bonus sons and getting to know them and getting to know their parents, and it's this whole thing where for me personally I don't have a lot of close by extended family to lean in on, and so we kind of had to create our own family through chosen friends and parents of other kids and that sort of thing. And it's just so cool now, like watching them all older, they're still connected, the parents are connected, and it's just this really cool, like, family dynamic where they can come and go, they can stay here if they need to, or, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I will call parents, I will do all of those things, but that's where, like, I think that honesty part also kicks in. Yeah, I'll be there for you, but there's limits, So, anyway.
It's beautiful. I love that so much. It just makes me I have a son who's 7. He'll be
Yeah.
8 in August, and I see how fast the time goes. I mean, I blink, and my niece is graduating from high school. My nephew is a sophomore in college, and I think about, wow, like what will it look like when Jiwoo gets there? And
Yeah.
I can't help but have, some worries and some doubts. But hearing your journey and talking to you about it makes me excited to see what it will all look like. So
Well, and
excited.
from same thing, I've never met him, your son, but from what I can gather, he does not lack in personality.
Oh no. No.
I was going to say, it's a shame he's so shy, really. No,
Oh.
he's got a lot to do. He's got a lot to offer. A lot.
Oh yeah. Yes. Yeah. He was rolling down the hill the other day after school and just like then picked up this huge branch and was just being crazy. And I looked at his best friend's mom and I'm like, man, he's totally going to be that kid in college that does all the things to make people laugh. I'm like, oh boy, buckle up. Here we go.
Yep.
But yeah.
He sounds like one of those ones that's going to learn from experience rather than being taught.
I think so.
Guilty over here too.
Yeah. And I think that's the best way though. I mean, I let him run around on the kitchen counter and jump on all the things while my mom's like, be careful, be careful, be careful, be careful. And I'm like,
It's gonna
just let him
happen.
learn.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah. Like just, yeah.
Yes.
But
And I think
okay. So, I want to rein it back in
yes.
I've been dying to talk about what sparked for you the night of Not Till Now, because you and I had been texting and you're like, yes, like things really sparked for me. And so let's talk about how things felt that night for you and what has perhaps sparked since.
Okay, so I'll start with that night. Again, I had kind of an inkling, but not much, similar to Mom's on the Mic. So I really didn't know what I was walking into, which is kind of the best feeling now.
Yeah.
Like I love that part, where you just say yes, show up, see what happens. What's the worst that can happen? I mean, it's just a new experience, right? So I walked in thinking, okay, I have no idea what this is going to be like. I saw you come out in the helmet and I was like, I am in the right place. Definitely. 100%. And it's that fearlessness that I saw in you and then everyone else that followed. And I know it was, there was time to practice and rehearse and all of those things, but taking that whole rehearsal piece aside, just really admiring the bravery and the fortitude it took for each of those people to just bare their souls to a room full of people that, I mean, granted, I'm sure each person had their little, their crowd and their supporters, but that was one piece of an entire place that was full of people they didn't know.
Yes.
Blew my mind. It blew my mind because it felt like a movie to me, to be honest. It felt like there's this opening scene in a movie where all these people do things that they've never done before. And then you follow one or maybe two of those people down the road of what happens as a result. Like that was the catalyst that helps them get to the next step of whatever it is that they dream of doing. And that to me was so amazing, like heart filling, like chills kind of thing. And I also walked away feeling like I just met all these new people that I had never met before. And that's pretty cool. And also their connections with you. And that made me see you in a different way, more, more broad, more, nuanced that it wasn't just Moms on the Mic or writing. It was this whole spectrum of your life too. And these people that are important to you. And for you to share that with everyone was also incredibly brave. So it was just, the whole thing was just like, to me. So Yeah, I did definitely get a spark from that. What it is exactly, I have been looking at. Am I going to say it out loud?
Yes.
I am looking around for book agents and optioning and looking at possibly developing a screenplay or screenwriting based on my book.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. I don't know what the heck I'm doing. Okay. Starting over like this is crazy. But again, I have to remember, like, from reviews of others and talking to people as I wrote it, their responses were, all I can see is this an episodical thing of different pieces of your life and humor and
Yeah.
sex and, all of it. So that's my goal now. Now that I've got my kid through high school, I've made it. I've crossed the finish line. I was present for all of it. Um, that's my next step. So I don't know how I'm doing it, but I'm reaching out to people I know through different networks and whatnot and see if it's a possibility to do that.
Yeah,
So
that's the way to do it. Just
yeah.
put all the feelers out and ask all the questions. And
Well, there's so many people I think that have done it. Again, I
yeah.
keep saying in my brain, why not me?
Would you perform in it?
No.
No? I
I
mean, the cover of your book, I mean, I can already, like, I can see you on the
um
stage.
I don't know. That's TBD, I think.
Yeah.
I think that part I would leave to some professionals if possible, but I would like for it to gain more traction through an agent and then see where that leads and then kind of ride that wave if I can. I still am writing my own stuff. It's kind of semi nonfiction. I will say there is a nice little nugget in having a book that hit bestseller so that if perhaps I write and publish again, I can say it was written by best-selling author,
Yes.
you know? So
Yeah.
there's options out there for me, but I put a lot on pause to get to this point in my life. And I'm really glad that I did.
Wow. This is so exciting. This is
Oh,
really exciting. So I want to close with a
yeah.
question that is um, kind of, so as I told you, after I finished listening to your interview, I'm sitting on the kitchen floor with my feet against the fridge and I'm texting you saying, oh my gosh, I loved listening to that. And you make me want to write my own. And so I've been starting to explore what that would look like. And I
Mhm.
have my ideas and I have my stories. And as I start to uncover what I would tell, I'm running
Mhm.
into the whole reality of a lot of my stories are not just my own, they are other people's. It was funny the other night with my small group at church with David Comstock from the show.
Mhm.
Um, I was just crying and so sad about this one particular story that just continues to haunt me that I need to metabolize and get out and tell. And he's like, what would freedom look like for you? And I've been really stewing on that question. Freedom from that would look like being able to share my story and not feel any regret from it and to not feel any backlash, or I guess naturally backlash happens and people come at you and they say things. And I already experienced it with a very innocent book about being a mom. Like I didn't even get very deep.
Yeah.
So here's my question. What would you tell me and anyone else who's listening who is afraid to share a story specifically because of the things that can happen, the unexpected things, the uncomfortable things? I know you have experienced a lot of that.
Oh, yeah.
And I know that's probably a whole other conversation, but what do you got? What do you got for me and anyone else who's scared to share their story?
Okay, brutal honesty. There's going to be backlash. There's no way
Yeah.
around. I First off, I made the mistake of asking people, and I should say I don't name anybody by their real name
Right.
except for my husband. So I
Okay.
took that piece out of it completely. Um, but I started asking permission, not from my immediate family because I already knew the answer. So I took that card off the table completely.
Mm-hmm.
I asked other people permission and it was kind of wishy-washy and this and that. And then I paused and said, Erin, whose story is this? Whose story is this? It's not theirs. It's yours. You own it. You've lived it. You own it. You deserve it. If somebody doesn't like, and this was something that didn't land well with many people. If you don't like what you're reading and you know it's about yourself, even though you're not named, maybe you need to take a closer look at how you treat people.
Yeah.
And that was
Yep.
it. I wrote for me, period, full stop. I knew that people would be mad. The ones that were surprisingly mad were my closest family members.
Wow.
And it took a long time to get to where we're okay again. That was something I was not warmed about. I was told in no uncertain terms, you will not be spared. You will not be spared. Somebody's going to have a problem, whether it's somebody obscure or somebody that's closest to you. They may or may not like it.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, somebody might not like the way I drive down the road tomorrow. Or
Right.
somebody may not like the way I have an attitude at the grocery store because I'm pissed off about something. It doesn't fucking matter. It is my story to tell. And once I took ownership of it, I know in my heart I did not write anything that was malicious, that was cruel, that was not honest. Every single thing I wrote was honest. And that gave me peace, knowing that whatever comes of this, it says more about the person reading it, that maybe they haven't digested it enough themselves. Maybe they haven't thought about it in the way that I'm thinking about it. And if it boils down to they are so offended, so hurt, so whatever, I use this analogy all the time. It's a sieve. I had this huge group of people in my life thinking they wanted the best for me
Right.
in
Yeah.
my mind. Lo and behold, you write, my sieve was so intensely packed, and what was left over was what was meant to be there, period. I lost so many people. And I know it's really scary for a lot of people to hear that, but my life is so incredibly better as a result. So the people that get offended, give it time.
Yeah.
Sometimes people need a lot of time to really wrap their brains around what you said. That's fine, fair, totally understandable. But you don't have to press pause on your journey of writing just to appease somebody else, because you're not writing for them. You're writing for yourself. And what you come away with is, I dissected all of these people in my life and realized this person, this person, this person, this person using me, using me, using me, using me, not liking me. That was something I would have never realized had I not written them the way I did. So I fully endorse being your absolute 100% crazy, reckless, honest self. And then you're probably going to be left with more people than less. More people that see you for who you are, love you for who you honestly are, versus the people that had this this impression of you,
Mm-hmm.
and it's blown up and they don't know what to do with that. That's a them problem. Sorry, this is like a hill I'll die on. I will,
Don't
you
be
know,
sorry. No,
that's what I
it's
say to anybody that asks. Say what you want, you know? Who knows? There's people out there that might be saying the same thing about you. You never know. You might as well just be honest and truthful and get your heart out on the paper and realize who you are and what you want and what you don't. And I am so much better for it. So much better for it. I lost all these people that were causing those shoulds, causing that
yes.
discomfort. So I say go for it, no matter what.
What a way to end. Oh my gosh.
Bam!
That is so encouraging. And it really, really, really helps.
Good.
Oh, man. You have no idea.
I know we've talked about you writing, and I want you to so badly. I know you have so much out there to share, that you have done so much thinking about and processing and all of the things. And I just see that as like kind of the cherry on top of all of it.
Well,
Do it, do
your
it, do it, do
encouragement.
it.
Yes, you're such an encourager, and you set such an example, and I admire you and your journey and the way that you have let go of so many things that do not matter. And it's really, really cool, especially, in midlife and this wild season where all these things are
Yes.
changing, but it can ultimately be for the good. And so
And
thank
something
you.
for yourself. Do it
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you for being you and sharing so much today.
Oh,
I can't believe it's been an hour already. This felt like 2 minutes. I feel like we're just barely scratching the surface. I'm so excited about your screenplay, and I can't wait to see how that unfolds. Wow, had no idea what the spark was, and that was really, really cool to hear. So
well, I said it out loud for the first time, so now I actually have to work on it.
yes. And hey, who knows? This is the start of it. It may evolve into something else too,
Correct. Yeah.
maybe a one-woman show. Maybe it's you. I don't know.
Oh boy.
What?
Oh boy.
Well, thank you so much. And I will put links to all the ways that people can connect with you in the show notes, and just
Okay.
cannot wait to see how the rest of this year unfolds for you.
Ditto, friend.
Yay. All right.
All right.
Bye.
We'll talk soon.
Bye. Thanks for listening to today's episode of Not Till Now. I hope this conversation stirred something in you. Don't forget to check the show notes for a recap and ways to stay connected. And if you know someone in your life who needs permission, send this to them. See you next time.